Hello, my name is Dr. Melanie Malloy. I am an attending physician at Mount Sinai Brooklyn in Mount Sinai, Queens. I'm on my way to work. I have just had a very nice and cathartic dance party in my car, which is a good transition to work from home because I had a little bit of a stressful morning with my children, trying to get them set up for homeschool, getting everything kind of situated. I am a widow, so I don't have a partner to help me with them, and I don't want to send them to my in-laws or my parents because they're getting older and some of them have health conditions that might put them a little bit more at risk for COVID. There's nowhere really else to put them, so I have a great babysitter who helps me a lot, but sometimes it's a little bit hard to kind of get everything going, make sure everything's calm, and still keep my own calm. So a good dance party in the car will always get me ready for a shift. I'm gonna get some scrubs. I'm going to get mask, face shield, and everything that I need to be safe on my shift. And I am going to start my shift. I walked in and they said everybody's intubated, and it looks like it's true actually. Most of our beds are taken up by intubated patients, meaning patients who can't breathe on their own and who are on the ventilator. Almost everybody is on oxygen, and almost everybody is a COVID patient. Always a lot of ambulances outside. Now I'm gonna try to go to the tents. This is our fast track extension. Just, from the get-go, you can see, we have to tell people we can't test them for mild symptoms. So now I'm walking into our fast track tent. Patients get registered here. Good morning. Here is our fantastic staff, and then we have separate areas for people getting treatment. So this is actually an overflow tent that hasn't started to be used yet, but it's going to be here for us to use. It's set up with workstations, it's set up with some sinks, and so when we need it, we will use it. So today there are 43 people in the department. That's pretty much full, but I have to say it's doing a lot better than a couple weeks ago when we had 86 to 96 in the department, 40 people boarding. It was really tough. It was really a bad week. But things have gotten a lot better now that we've been able to transfer patients, take admitted patients. Some of them are going to Central Park to the hospital there. Some of them are going to our other sites, and that's really helped kind of offload from our department. But we're still full. We're still all the way full. One of my favorite things to do is eat free food. I'm super excited because we have Shake Shack. What? This is from Hatzola Flatbush. We just keep eating. So I'm waiting for my next patient to be placed in a room. This one is different because as opposed to the mostly older patients we've been seeing today, he's in his early 20s. He's here for nausea and vomiting. Before this whole thing, we used to have a differential diagnosis of 21-year-old male with nausea and vomiting. What that could be, is it, appendicitis or gastritis, pancreatitis or something like that. But now everybody everywhere is a suspect for COVID, because he wouldn't be the first person that I saw who just had nausea and vomiting, or who just had diarrhea, or just was dizzy. I think one thing we're learning is that we don't really know what somebody's going to come in with and have COVID. So my surgery colleague, who is just kind of looking after patients, just let me know about a patient who's looks like he's having a lot of respiratory distress. He looks like he's breathing at like 40 a minute. He's got a non-rebreather on, but he looks really bad. So we're gonna call respiratory down and we're gonna intubate him. We're gonna put him on the ventilator. So I just needed to get out of the ED for a little bit. Sometimes you just gotta step out for a second. I just wanted to give you guys a little look at the ICU. So We have a full ICU. We have every patient in here on a ventilator. Wanted to point out how we have our IVs set up so that our nurses can get some protection by only using medications and hanging things outside the room instead of having to go in every time they need to change something on the pole. As you can see, it's not a huge space, but it's quite full. Every bed is full. Every patient is getting multiple medications. Some are getting blood transfusions. Everybody has coronavirus, but some people also have heart attacks at the same time. This happens, and it makes things even harder. Well, my day's over. Well, my hospital day is over. It wasn't the worst day I've had, but it's always pretty draining. It's always pretty hard to deal with scared people, sick people, people who may not have a lot of health literacy, people who may not have a lot of resources. It's hard. It's hard to think that some of your patients that you diagnosed today might not be here tomorrow when you come back for your shift, or, you know, all of it. I don't know. I'm just tired. So it's almost 10 o'clock at night, and on my way home I got a FaceTime from my youngest child, who's 4, who's still awake. She really was upset because she didn't want to go to bed without seeing me. I kind of was hoping that she would be asleep because I'm tired, and I just want to just relax a little bit and go to sleep, because it's going to be an early day tomorrow with homeschool. And I think that's the hardest part. I think that's like just being alone when I come home, knowing that, you know, my childcare is going to go home, my helpers are going home, and it's just me and whatever state my children are in. And I don't really have a lot left in me, you know, so I struggle with that, because I wonder how much my children suffer from me kind of giving everything at work and coming home to it. Tomorrow's going to be tough because I am going to homeschool all day and I work overnight. I hope I can get a nap in at some point, but like I said, it's just me, so it really depends. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm really grateful to still have a job, to be able to support my family. And, you know, I'm sure right now I'm struggling, and I'm like, oh, I have to go inside and parent. But at the end of the day, you know, that's my favorite job. That's what keeps me alive. That's what keeps me motivated. It's been a long day. Probably got a couple more minutes in me. And we'll start again tomorrow.